Hey guys, Robin here, and welcome to a movie review. Now in this first review, since I got my laptop back, I'm going to be covering a movie that not many of you have heard of. That movie, that movie is called Jigoku. It is a 1960 Japanese horror movie, and this is how and that is the how you spell the title, and that is the movie's title in Japanese text. The literal translation of the title is just hell, because that's kind of what the movie is. The movie is about a bunch of people who in who are bad people in some way. They've done something bad, and it ultimately, and I do mean ultimately, comes back to bite them. Like, yeah. Now, it doesn't matter what the sin is, like whether, like this one character who kills all the elderly residents under his care, and there is one character whose only sin is out of desperation and survival. He took a dying soldier's water during the Second World War, and yeah, and now the movie itself is 1 hour and 40 minutes, give or take. Might be a few minutes longer than that, but anyway. So the first hour is basically setting up the characters, basically setting up their personalities. One is very likable. The other is a total selfish asshole who doesn't give a crap that he just accidentally killed someone with his car. He doesn't care. He basically blamed the guy. He basically blamed the guy he hit because he was drunk. He ran out into the middle of the road. It was practically suicide. Again, I am deeply sorry for that. Now, anyway, okay, so I'm not really sure if actually, yeah. So, massive spoiler, although it's not really a spoiler because it happens like literally 40 minutes before the end of the film. Everybody dies, and the last 40 minutes of the movie it's basically them in Japanese slash Buddhist hell because because Japanese religion borrows heavily from Buddhism, like there is one, like for example, the Sanskrit word for hell, sakara, is a combination of the words meaning abominable and excruciating. The Japanese adapted this word. The Japanese adapted this word as nakaru. Yeah, and now this movie has one of the most fascinating depictions of hell that I have ever seen in a movie. And considering the hell scene at 40 minutes long, which is over a third the movie's length, you do get to see a lot of Japanese hell. Like for example, there's this one place that is literally nothing but rocks that that would be perfect to just skip across like a river or something. However, these rocks are supposed to be stacked, and correct me if I'm wrong on this. They meant each stack of rocks is meant to protect like a member of the deceased family, like like one stack of rocks protects the mom, like one stack of rocks protects their mom, another stack protects their father, and another pile of rocks protects any siblings they may or may not have. Now, now this now this now I will warn you right now, there's a lot of screaming, which, I mean, yeah, the movie, which, yeah, a huge chunk of the movie is set in hell. People are getting punished for their sins. There's a lot of torture. Obviously, there's going to be screaming. And while I'm on the subject of, and while I'm on the subject of nasty stuff like that, this movie is actually the very first movie to use graphic gore effects, like even predating the original gore supposed the like even predating the supposedly original gore film Blood Feast by Herschel Gordon Lewis by 3 years. Now, now earlier I mentioned one of the characters is a monster who killed all the elderly people under his care, and since and by the way, the place I mentioned with all the rocks. Now, the place I mentioned with all the rocks is called the River Sanzu, and and there's a figure in this movie. He's not Satan, he's a demonic like figure. The closest thing I could compare this figure to, who by the way is named Enma. He is the well, depending on where you read, he's either the god of hell or he's the king. But like I said, he's not Satan. The closest thing I could compare him to in Christianity is Saint Peter, who who passes judgment. Wait, no. Well, I think Saint Peter basically decides whether or not you're allowed into heaven. Basically, this figure Enma, he according to this movie, a person who comes to hell is forced to watch their sins, and then he passes them off a sentence. Now, the monster I mentioned earlier, the guy who killed all the elderly people in his care by way of by way of tainted fish, which was gone rancid. Enma tells him, "Your sins outnumber the stones on the river Sanzu." and and I do agree, because not only did he kill these people trusted him with their health, and they trusted him to take care of them until they die naturally. Naturally, goddamn, this guy's eternal punishment is to be. This guy, okay, a little warning for the squeamish out there, okay? This guy's punishment is to be skinned alive for eternity, and we actually do see the result of this happening the first time. Like, we see all his exposed muscle and organs and such. And for the first gore film ever made, well, I wouldn't say gore film, but for the first movie to have gore to that capacity, it looks really good for 1960, especially since it's in color. Now there is now there is a notable continuity issue earlier in the film, because one character is killed in a traffic accident when the taxi cab that she and her boyfriend are riding in crashes into a pole. Now, the thing is, this car crashes into the pole at such a low speed that and the camera kind of holds on the car for like just over a second after the impact, like long enough for you to tell that the car barely got any damage. Yet in the very next shot and for the rest of the scene, the car all of a sudden has a lot more damage. Now, I don't know if they just Now, I don't know if they crashed this one car into a pole a bunch of times, or if they swapped the car with a, or if they swapped the car out with the same make and model, not the year, because in the 1950s, Japanese cars largely looked the same year after year, and they just put the lights, and they just took the license plate out the good car, put on the wrecked one, but yeah, it's a bit confusing. But anyway, now if you are interested in Japanese culture and Japanese depiction, but if you would be interested to see how what Japanese hell would look like, it's very similar to the fire and brimstone hells you may have seen in movies from Western culture right here. Now there is fire, yes, but that's not everywhere. And by the way, some of these hell sets they look so amazing. Like like I actually want to know like what those sets look like behind the scenes, you know? Like there's this one set that's basically a black room containing a swimming pool full of red water, which is supposed to be blood, and said swimming pool is just surrounded by a ring of fire. Like, I actually want to know like how they got that effect. Like did they put some gasoline around and light it, or like what? But anyway, if you are interested in watching this movie, I will include a link in the video's description. Now, I will warn you, since this movie depicts hell and there's a and there's a lengthy scene where people are dying from poisoned food and wine, just go into it knowing that you might see some stuff that might mess you up. Now, and don't worry, yes, this is a Japanese language film. However, the version of the film I watched included English subtitles. Yeah. And yeah, so yeah. And if this review does good, well, I have another non-kaiju Japanese film that quite frankly, should be far more well known. Okay. So thank you all for watching this review, and I will see you all soon in the near future. Peace.